Well, hello and welcome to the Monday Daily. For those who haven't seen my Menagerie campaign videos, this might be the first time of seeing my face in this corner. I thought, I don't know, it might add a few uh, a few things to boring moments where we're just waiting for the AI. At least you can then see my facial expressions groaning at what the AI is doing or groaning about my own place. Anyways, today we have a allies and base kingdom. So Monday is always the base expansion paired with another one. And yeah, let's get through the cards as always and then look at what we're about to do. So there is Chapel, one of the strongest cards, deceptively strong, because you might think, oh, it only costs two, how strong can it be? But it lets you trash up to four cards from your hand, and especially if you get it early and do that, let me remove the video for just a sec. Yeah, it only costs two. Um, if especially if you get it early and it is one of the most efficient cards of thinning your starting deck. And thus, yeah, that makes it one of the strongest cards in the game. Then there's Townsfolk. Townsfolk is another split pile. We saw one of the split piles yesterday, actually. We saw the clashes with three stamps on them. The Townsfolk is a little less board defining than the clashes, but still a neat pile. There is Town Crier on top, and Town Crier is the whole townsfolk pile is related to a small choose sub theme. So Town Crier lets you choose between getting +2 coin, gaining a silver, or just +1 card and +1 action. And then after you played it, you may rotate the townsfolk. So a reminder, that means you put the copies of the top card in the back, and that lets you see the other cards without having to buy all four town criers, for example. Blacksmith lets you choose one, draw up to 6 cards in hand, +2 cards, or +1 card and +1 action. So either the mode effect or the watchtower effect, or just a cantrip if you don't have the actions currently. Then there's Miller, +1 action, and look at the top 4 cards of your deck. Put one into your hand and discard the rest. So this is the same effect as, for example, Border Guard has, but for 4 cards. Lets you sift through some cards, I don't know. And finally, there's Elder, giving you +2 coin on play, and you may then play an action card from your hand, so essentially +2 coin and an action. And when it gives you a choice of abilities, by saying choose this turn, you may choose an extra different option. So if you play Elder, and with the Elder you play a Blacksmith, you can, for example, choose two of the options now. For example, +2 cards and then +1 card and +1 action, turning the Blacksmith into a super lab. But you have to line it up with the Elder and also spend the Elder player, of course. But it's still nice. It works with Town Crier, and on this kingdom it also works with Town. Let's discuss Town next, because it makes sense. Town is either a village, +1 card and 2 actions, or a woodcutter variant, +1 buy and 2 coins. But if you use Elder to play a town, then you can choose, you can get both of these bonuses. Then we have Gardens, worth 1 per 10 cards. We've seen this one around. It's an alternative way to get victory points, but here with Chapel trashing, it's not super likely to get above duchy value, and you rather want to have a lean deck, I think. Then we have Moneylender. We've also seen that one around a few times. You may trash a copper from your hand for +3. Very simple copper trasher, but not as effective at trashing as Chapel by a long shot. Finally, in this row there's Poacher, +1 card, +1 action and a coin. And per empty supply pile, you have to discard a card. So in the early game, it's a super nice, super pleasant card because it gives you a coin without lowering your hand size. But then in a later game, as soon as some piles are gone, you will need to discard a few cards, making it worse. Smithy, just +3 cards. Simple as that. Town we had. Bandit lets you gain a gold and forces each other player to reveal the top 2 cards of their deck. Trash revealed treasures. Trash 1 revealed treasure that is not a copper, and then discard the rest. So this one, yeah, I don't know, gives you gold, but also removes your opponent's gold. So if both players have it, then you sometimes end up with just a few golds and keep removing the golds from each other's decks. But yeah, it's kind of a counter to its own attack, or I don't know, it encourages its own attack and can be nice to get golds into your deck quickly. Finally, no, not finally, there's 2 more cards. There's Hunter and Laboratory. Let's discuss Laboratory first, +2 cards and 1 action. And then there's Hunter, which reveals the top 3 cards of your deck. And from those cards, put an action, a treasure, and a victory card into your hand and discard the rest. So these cards are very similar. Usually, Hunter will draw you 2 cards, like an action and a treasure in a well functioning deck, but also if you build a very action heavy deck, then Hunter might sometimes only be a worse version of the Miller that is also in the kingdom. And yeah, it can sometimes be a little sad, especially if it discards your other good action cards and you were expecting to find a treasure and a victory card and an action. Then you can curse your hunters, and usually I think I usually prefer Laboratory over it, but it also really depends on the deck composition. With that, I'm done explaining the cards, and we can discuss what we're going to do here. So with Chapel Trashing, that really incentivizes a lean deck that builds maybe to double or even triple province, especially since there are engine components here that like Smithy, Town, Laboratory, it's non-terminal, and Hunter also non-terminal draw. Town is a plus buy. Bandit can jump in for some payload, and at times we might also pick up a few of those of the Townsfolk, but not with a super high priority. Yeah, so we want to get thin, we want to get drawing, and then get payload in our deck with Bandit. I think that's the general plan. You can also look at the kingdom plot. I actually haven't looked at it myself, but to no surprise, there is, yeah, a lot of thinning with Chapel. There's a lot of draw, some extra gains as there's plus buy, and village and town. With that, I'd say we discuss openings very briefly. On the 3-4 or 4-3, and they are equivalent here, I always open Chapel Town, I think. Because town, if the town collides with the chapel, then you just uh, go for the village effect and play the chapel. And if they don't collide, town is a silver and gets you maybe up to 5, which is really nice. We, however, do have the 2-5, which is also equivalent to the 5-2 here. And we, of course, are opening chapel. And then with it, I think in the early game, a laboratory might be the best choice to go with it. You could also think about Hunter, just to cycle a bit better. But I think I still prefer the laboratory, especially during the mid game, because Hunter might also in the early game only reveal 3 coppers, and well, that's not really enabling us to hit big numbers. So let's go for the chapel and laboratory opening. The AI plays 3 copper, so reveals that it doesn't have the 2-5 as well, but it might just open chapel town. Okay. We can also pick up a town here. That's a magnificent draw. We get to trash a lot of cards here. And there could be a consideration of just getting a town crier, but I think on the first chapel trash, whatever you draw, you always want to go for those 4 cards that you trash. So now we can put in another laboratory, I think. And next turn we're going to draw cards, and yeah, I think just going for the laboratory here is still good. How much money is in there is the question. There is 2 coppers, so we are currently at potentially 7 money in deck. It could also be a consideration of just going for another town in order to try to keep hitting good numbers. Because if the chapel trashes, then we'll hit, well, if we only trash the estate, we'll hit 5, but we don't want that, I think. But let's trash a copper and an estate in the best case the next turn, or try to do that, and then pick up another town, and then we should be good. I think I like that line. Let's see what we draw here. We only draw the 5 coppers. Let's thin one and get another town in. Now we can get the bandit. We get to draw a deck here. Get to thin those. And get to put in payload. And now we should be really good here. Because we even get to... Well, it's not perfect. No, it is perfect, because we do get to draw into this gold and get this +1 buy here. Now here with 8, I think I like getting... could be a laboratory and a town crier. Could also be a town and a smithy, or just 2 towns. Let's go for the smithy with the town. And we just hit 6 here. Can hit 8 once again if we want to, and then next turn we get to thin down with the chapel. We get to get rid of all of those coppers. I'd rather not try my luck there in drawing with that town, even though it was quite likely that we drew a laboratory or a smithy. We could also just draw a bandit and a chapel, and that would be a lesser turn. So yeah, now we can draw our deck here. Get this gold in. We do not trash anything of value for the AI. Let's thin out coppers. How many coppers do we want to thin out? That looks good. Next turn we get to play the bandit once again, and then we get to slowly build up that payload. So just going town laboratory here seems like it's the safest play. Of course, we're massively helped by that 2-5 opening. It's quite pleasant here, of course, and we had a nice turn 4 trash. But yeah, let's see how we'll fare in the future turns. Now we can play this bandit now. Don't get to trash anything, even though by now the AI has a bunch of golds and silvers in its deck. And I think now we can just be calm and start provincing and just pick up a laboratory with it. We're kind of ignoring the town crier pile or the townsfolk pile here, but that is, I don't know, it doesn't seem super exciting to me, to be honest, at this point. We'd never really had the need to draw those 2 cards, to spend just 2 money. Only in that case I would have picked up a town crier, I think. So let's go for that kind of stuff. Now we get to trash one of AI's goals. And now end actions, hit double province, even. And we could, I guess we could go for the double province, but we could also just play it safe and go for maybe a hunter and a silver. So next turn we would have 21 then for double province and laboratory. Or do we go for hunter or not super clear to me. Now a hunter could be alright, but I mean our deck is still mostly action, so let's play it like this. And just, yeah, keep calm. We have province in hand at least. AI is behind by 12 points. It might double province here. I don't know about its money situation actually. We have 4 golds. AI also has 4 golds in its deck, I think. It does a bit more of that Smithy stuff. Okay. Yeah, also going for lab. Now here I like drawing. We do get to play this Bandit at least and get to pick up province next turn. We are more or less guaranteed to draw. And I mean that was kind of an underwhelming turn, but given the composition of our deck at this point, it's okay to miss double province one turn. So now here we get to really draw well. Nice. Let's play the Smithy, play the lab, play that town and another town. Actually, it's less than I would have liked in terms of draw. But I think if we just double province here, are we even able to? That's 12 plus 4, 16. Yeah, we are able to. We are fine. Actually, yeah, we're not drawing as well as I would have liked to. Maybe that silver was a mistake, and maybe the lab should have been a hunter instead to hunt for our draw cards. And the question is, do we play this bandit? I think I like playing this bandit just to get rid of some of AI's payload. We had 16 here. We are up by 18 points, so AI would need 4 duchies and a province to catch up to us. And yeah, I think the main difference between our decks is, well, first the AI goes for the Smithy stuff, which is worse here because you really want to play those towns as the plus buy thing. Yeah, AI just finishes it here. So no surprise to have won this in the end. And another big advantage we had was playing with the Bandit. Chapel and Bandit are usually friends, especially if you have some way to draw all of those goals that you get with the Bandit. And yeah, I still wouldn't recommend opening Chapel Bandit. It just opens you up to sad early game draws, and you also will cycle the opponent's deck a bit. Of course, there's the case where you discard opponent's Chapel, but you're more likely to not do that and just get your opponent through their deck. In the early game, I liked the laboratory chapel opening. I think we might have been good to pick up a hunter late and maybe skip that silver and maybe just buy a town crier instead. Because we did have the actions, but we didn't have the draw, and the town crier could have just been a plus card in action. But yeah, very simple standard deck. Actually, we only used cards from... No, we didn't only use cards from the base game. We used the towns. But apart from that, we had a very simple bandit laboratory chapel engine going, and AI mixed it up with a few smithies, but Yeah, in the end, it also lacked the payload because of our Bandit hitting two of its goals. But I wouldn't say we were super lucky in hitting those because I think we had four Bandit plays where we didn't hit anything, especially early on where I don't know. Simple Kingdom, I hope you enjoyed this playthrough and I will try to catch you next time. With that, goodbye.